In Fulcrum One, we use environments to define the acoustical properties that encapsulate your loudspeaker design. To access environments, we go to the Acoustics tab on the left-hand sidebar here. Every Fulcrum One project ships with a default environment. You can add as many as you'd like or need, whether you're using active acoustics or you're trying to simulate different acoustic settings for the same room or even different rooms. For this, we have our default environment. And if we click on it, we can go over to the properties sidebar here where we can access more details about it. The specs tell us what the environment currently is doing in terms of acoustic parameters. The next option down is our visual model. This tells Fulcrum One visually on the screen what should be shown whenever this environment is active. In these further settings, we can define how that model is used to calculate the acoustics. But for right here, this is strictly for visual usage. So I have my box auditorium selected. The next box down tells Fulcrum One how to calculate the acoustics for this environment. We have an option to choose whether we want the visual model to be used for calculation, which is what's defined above, or if we want to click manual, we can then type in a length, width, and height of a bounding box that'll be used as a simulated virtual acoustic room. We can also type in a volume as well and determine it that way. So if you are using maybe a imported visual model that really only has a surface and a stage and isn't fully enclosed or anything like that, you can use a manual mode instead. For this, we'll switch back to visual. The next setting here is the calculation mode. And so once we've decided the room or shape of the room or the manual mode, we then choose how we're going to calculate the acoustics inside of that model. So by default, we're on materials, meaning that we can paint materials on the walls. The other option is to choose manual, where we can then edit the reverberation time at each frequency, or choose from a preset if we'd like. For this, I'm going to go ahead and hit done and go back to materials, and we'll show you how to paint some materials on some surfaces. Over on the left-hand sidebar here, I've pre-imported some materials from the library. You can choose the library import from hitting the plus sign and clicking from library. For this, we'll use what's imported, and we'll start by doing our metal roof deck. So I'll click the paint, and I can just simply orbit down, click on the roof, and paint both roof sections. Now both roof sections, roof faces, are painted with the metal roof deck material. I'll click in there, and I'll go down to the next one. This is some drywall, so I'll go ahead and click that. And now instead of orbiting around the room and clicking all the walls, what I'm going to do just as an easy shortcut is go ahead and paint the material onto the layer. So I have my walls stage, walls back, and walls side here. I'm going to go ahead and click each one as I paint, and those are painting those materials. The white might be a little hard to see, so we'll change that color. We'll go down here, and I have an audience on medium upholstered seats. I'm going to go ahead and paint that on the floor here. And the final would be a concrete floor, and I'm going to paint the stage floor with that. We'll click our environment again, and now we're going to see that we have some reverberation time listed out now. That's being calculated from these materials. If we want to see more details about that, we can click the stats button up here at the top, and that'll then show us the reverberation time that's been calculated. The next option down, if we go back to our environment's properties, is where we can define our ambient noise level. This is useful for some of the mapping modes that we'll show in a later video. To edit the noise level, we'll click the Edit Noise Level button here, and we can choose from a set of presets down here if we'd like, say RC30, or we can modify it as we see fit if we've already done a measurement or we know roughly what the ambient noise level is for this environment. I'll click Done, and now our environment is ready to go. If I wanted to create another environment, maybe a slight variation of this, I can easily do that by clicking the plus sign up here. Let's name this first environment Occupied. And the next one we're going to name Unoccupied. Let's click this unoccupied one to make it active. And I'm going to change out on this one, the audience on medium upholstered seats. I'm going to change it to the unoccupied. And what this allows me to do now is in our mapping modes, I'll be able to switch back and forth between these two environments to see how our loudspeaker system does in an occupied or an unoccupied room. I can also see from here now in the stats the frequency response curves. Take a look at some of our next videos that show how to use environments in certain mapping modes, as well as how we use it with active acoustics and our new binaural feature.